IVM.
You know how at the beginning of each month you allocate a certain amount of money for your upcoming vacation or your brand new phone? And you know how by the end of every month you end up using that money for other things? The Jupiter Digital Banking app has a very easy solution for it. Their Money Pots feature helps you save money more efficiently. You can create a pot and set aside money to reach your goals, whether it's that Maldives holiday or that latest phone. But if there's an emergency, this money can be withdrawn from the pots at any time without any charges. There are no restrictions at all. Check out jupiter.money to find out more or download the Jupiter app on Android and iOS to get started. Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin, Doctor, your habit coach, and today with us for a second time we have Swami Purnachaitanya. Now, in the first episode, we discussed understanding meditation and his journey through it. Today, we're going to be talking about understanding what is the concept of focus and what is the concept of feeling calm. Because these two are things that I think we desperately need in our lives. It is something that we have a shortage of. We don't know how to do it. And if we can learn this from somebody who's practiced this for over 20 years, it's going to make a big difference and it's going to help us. So Swamiji, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
So nice to be back, Ashdin.
Swamiji, focus. When I say the word focus, what are the thoughts that come to your mind?
Well, hopefully not too many, because that would mean the lack of it. But, it's interesting that if we look at our life nowadays, we have been in some way so conditioned to multitask that we tend to multitask almost anything, even our focused or our calm, our peace of mind. And I've seen this so many times. Someone may be sitting at the dining table having breakfast or lunch, and a few family members are also sitting there, so it counts as family time. But then everyone is on their phone, and while you are chewing the food, you're not really tasting it also because you're replying to your messages. Someone may be on the phone. There may even be a TV playing in the background. And in our sincere effort to do as many wonderful things or pending things or tasks, whatever we do, we actually miss out on all of them. And I think, especially nowadays, where our attention is drawn in so many directions. I mean, honestly, even on YouTube, you may just want to watch a video, but in between there will be two advertisements. YouTube is pitching you other suggested content. Now, even on Instagram, it's not just my friend's post. I see suggested posts, promoted posts. So more than it being, I would say, a natural state or being focused, nowadays, it actually becomes an activity where you have to consciously put an effort to be focused because it's not so easy. And the reality is, if you want to do anything properly, effectively, efficiently, and also if you want to enjoy it, you need to be focused, because focus means what? It means your mind being fully there in the present moment with what you are doing. But we also, nowadays, we hear this word many times, mindfulness, being mindful of what you're doing. And even having an ice cream, sometimes it happens, you get your favorite ice cream and that first bite you take, it's so tasty, you really enjoy it. And then suddenly it's finished. So in between, maybe you were talking to a friend or doing something else, or you get a packet of chips and suddenly it's finished. So it didn't magically disappear. It definitely went inside, but you were not fully aware of it. You're not so focused. The challenge is that, as we discussed in our previous episode also, that our mind is most effectively managed through effortlessness, not through effort. So again, focus is a requirement. But then the more you try to focus, it can become more challenging because you thinking, I don't want to think about something that happened, or I don't want to think about this person. You end up thinking about them more. And that is where I would actually say that even mindfulness or focus is most effective when it is not a practice, but a happening. Now, how can that happen? That is where we need to learn how to really relax the mind, how to meditate. Because it is like when you have a bow and arrow, when you pull back the string, first the arrow goes back, and only when you do that it can go forward much further. In the same way, if you want to really peak at your sports or your athletics, if you want to really perform in your exercise, you first need to rest your body very well. I think all of us know this. When you're well rested, you have much more stamina, endurance, you can do much better. And in the same way, if you say, I want to be really focused, you need to have a good rest. If you had a terrible sleep, your focus is off. I think all of us would have experienced this. So here the secret is that learning to really relax the mind so that you can be really dynamic in action after that. And this is sometimes overlooked, I think, where we try so hard to focus without actually having that stamina or bandwidth or the energy level to do that. At the same time, to give one more practical tip, as I mentioned, it's also your energy level that is important. So apart from just the rest, that also means, okay, taking a little time to, maybe take a little care of your food. If you have a lot of fried, spicy junk food, you will notice your focus is also off. Your mind is not as calm and steady as it could be. So yeah, these are some of the things that we can attend to that will really improve our focus. And as you mentioned, calm as well. It's beautiful to see how these two therefore go hand in hand, because it is that true calm that will give you focus, not as an activity, but as a natural result or a quality.
The fact that you combine these two is fascinating, because normally when we think about people focusing, when you go to these shared workspaces, especially in Bombay, there's so many of these shared workspaces, and everyone has this frown on their face, and they're on their computers and they're frantically doing this, and they're just like exuding this irritability or this unrest, right? And that's what we think of as focus right now.
Correct.
I'm focusedly doing this. It's a struggle. How is that mindset shift going to take place from that state where you're in that state of agitation, I have to finish this, I have to finish that, what's going to happen, to that state of actual focus where everything flows peacefully?
Well, it actually takes me back to my high school days when you say this, because I think most of us would have had this experience where you study for an exam, whether it was last minute or well in advance. Let's not get into the details, but you've studied really hard for at least some time. And then you walk into this classroom or this hall. And in my case, most of the time it used to be that right before going in, I still check a small note with some of the main things or formulas or whatever, taking a mental, picture and then hoping to remember that. And if it was a really difficult one, the moment I get the paper, I'll quickly write it down again before I forget it. So you have it at least at your disposal.
Oh, but that was smart. I never did that.
Yeah, well, I was quite smart.
I met you in school.
Can't say that maybe, but so then I would start writing the paper, and you'll look at it first. Okay, this question I know, this maybe I don't. Okay, this. You start writing, and then suddenly you have a question and you know the answer, but it's on the tip of your tongue. You're like, oh God, I remember this. I've learned this. You may even remember it was like, on this page, below this blue box. Oh my God, but what was it? And you're trying so hard to remember it, and half the time it wouldn't come. And then when the exam is finished, you have to hand in the paper or leave that room. And the moment you step out of that hall, it's like something magical happens and suddenly you remember. And this happens so many times, and it's so irritating because 1 minute before also would have done. I could have still quickly written. So then you may think, oh, God is angry with me, or no, what did I do? But the point is that, and this I really feel for many of the students, because I know, especially in India, people are really sincere. And with the amount of, tutoring and extracurricular studying and pressure from parents and what all people go through, it's much more intense than what I had in Europe. So I really feel for people because they want to perform, they want to do well. And many times they actually know the subject much better than they may be able to present it in an exam, because we have not learned how to be focused and relaxed at the same time. So what happens, like you said, you're focused, but then you're very tense. And because of that, your mind doesn't fully perform. It's not able to function at its best capacity. And the moment you step out of that hall, even if you've messed up, you know that, okay, at least for today, I'm done, and you relax. Okay. And the moment you relax, suddenly you remember. So again, that effortlessness that we spoke about in the previous episode. And the beauty is you can learn this, because that is exactly what meditation is. Meditation is being relaxed and aware at the same time. So it is training your mind to be focused and at the same time calm. And I think, as you very well pointed out, this is something that it's not just also in our school days. We take this with us wherever we go. So at work, or in a meeting or whatever, we may be very focused or trying to focus at least, but there's a tension. It comes with an amount of stress or tightness, and that costs you energy. It doesn't make you as effective, and it's a strain. No, it's like wear and tear on your system. And that is why I think it's a beautiful topic that you have chosen, because they are so complementary. Calm
They're so
and
complementary.
focus.
Are there certain practices that we can try? Of course, understand meditation from the first episode, but are there certain tools and techniques that you teach or you've experienced on bringing this sense of calm and focus through the day? I can do it for half an hour, maybe in the morning, or like I'm meditating. Now, if you tell me to do it through the day, how am I supposed to do it through the day?
Well, first is to understand that taking your mind off things is not the same as resting your mind. Because usually what we do to relax is, we watch some TV, or you watch some Netflix, or you watch some series on your phone, listen to some music, spend some time with your friends. And in some way, it's like a relief, because it's taken your mind off things. So for those moments, you're not worrying about your worries. You're not stressed about your stresses. You're not agitated about whatever issues, but you're still engaging your mind. So you're not actually recharging it. So you've taken your mind off those things, but you're not allowing it to really rest. So what can you do to rest your mind? To consciously take a break from those impressions. And it doesn't have to mean that you sit for meditation for half an hour, but that is where some of the mindfulness practices, for example, can be useful, where you say, okay, I'm having a cup of tea, or I'm having my meal. At least for those 5, 10, 15 minutes, let me just be with what I'm doing. So you're reducing, you can say, the impressions, you're reducing the amount of multitasking, like I said. So you're giving your mind a break. Also, when we look at other things, like for example, in yoga, nowadays, of course, many people may approach it slightly more as exercise, but the main traditional concept behind the asanas was that you're in a posture and you're putting effort. You're lifting your arm or stretching your leg, whatever you may be doing. But then can you be in that posture for some time, steadily, but without having a struggle in the mind? So the Rishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, he says, Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatibhyam. I'm just saying that so I can show off my Sanskrit a little. But so, I mean, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. No, so the thing is that the beauty is that it says Prayatna Shaitilya. So you drop the effort. So you don't drop the arm, but you drop the effort, and then Ananta Samapatibhyam. So you allow yourself to expand, to have that expansion, that's approaching that state of infinity, or allowing the mind to expand. So this is a conscious effort that even people can do in their day-to-day activities. That if you're lifting a heavy bag, for example, you will notice many people, even before you actually start lifting it, their whole face tightens up. You look like because it's a heavy bag. And that very thought of lifting something heavy causes some stress and resistance in the mind. So maybe as a nice exercise for people at home, you can see today that whenever you become aware that you're doing something work-related or something that is not maybe your most favorite activity, first become aware, okay, how is your face? If your face is frowning or tense or tight, that is simply a sign that there is tension in the mind, there is some stress or resistance. Because you tensing up your face when you're lifting something heavy, your facial muscles are not pulling that back. So it is not in any way related to that exercise. It's just reflecting the tension inside. So can your face be relaxed? This you can see with anything, any activities. You're preparing for a meeting. Many people would notice, like you said, you're working on your laptop, you're sitting in your shared office space or in a car doing something, and suddenly you realize, oh, my face is very tight, or I'm frowning, or I'm looking very... So that awareness itself can be a moment of referral where you say, oh, okay, let me relax. Or you notice that your breath is very short and shallow or tight. Let me take a deep breath in. And this can be a very nice exercise. Don't make it a tension, another tension. So this is one more thing I'd like to add for the people at home. When you realize that, oh, for the last 1 hour or half an hour, I was very tense and tight. Now, don't blame yourself, because this, we have a tendency to then go to the other extreme where you say, oh, I'm a bad person, or I'm no good, or I'm not aware. No, the moment you become aware, feel good about it. Okay, that's another achievement. And then relax. You will notice even your muscles, like your shoulders may be tight, your facial muscles may be tight. consciously relax it. And the beauty is with practice, you will find that this quality is not just on your yoga mat, no? Because asanas is not just about the yoga mat. Every posture you do in your life is an asana. And as a yogi, when you learn to relax the mind, even though physically you're putting an effort, that there's no struggle in the mind, you will find that slowly, in your day-to-day activities also, you can maintain a kind of calm where you save a lot of energy simply because our mind is not so involved, it doesn't get tense. And this is a very simple exercise, but it can have a tremendous impact on the quality of your life, on your energy level, on your health, and even on your perception, your observation, expression. So it is worth exploring.
Correct. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Mind the Gender Gap, host Naina Kumar talks to experts Niharika Vora and Dipti Ravula about the social, structural, and economic barriers women entrepreneurs face. On Big Talk About Tiny Humans, Devi Shobha and Meghna explain how to talk to children about porn. Can you be forced to vote? Host Priya Mirza talks about this on The Longest Constitution. On Press Decode, Sarah Vagda and Prafulla discuss the recent controversy surrounding Indian languages. And on Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav shares exactly what India's culinary heritage can teach us. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, we've been doing a series of profiles of people within the office, so do check that out for sure. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platforms you're listening on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. We have a page on our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, with a list of all our channels. We're also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you, the listener, responds to the advertising on our network. And also, we just want to know a little bit more about you. We would really appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes to fill it out. It will really help us build some better shows for you. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, SBI Life Insurance and Jupiter, a digital banking app.
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation. Do you get tired through the day when you have a busy day or hectic schedules? Do you end up feeling tired at the end of the day?
Sometimes I do. I travel a lot. I live out of a suitcase. So usually every few days I stay in a new place. And that way, I have very little time to feel at home. I mean, I do. But of course, I'm staying in someone's house. The bed may be different. You have a soft mattress, hard mattress, different size pillow, no pillow. I've traveled in interiors of the Northeast also, like Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Assam, proper, in tribal areas. And sometimes the food is always different. Sometimes you have a place to bathe. Sometimes you don't have a place to bathe. The water can be different colors. You have a 14-hour bus ride on a road, which is not really a road. So your whole body goes right, left, up, down. And then after I reach, I lie down on my yoga mat at least 5 minutes and I turn and then you hear like tuck, 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 and your whole spine gets back in place. So yes, sometimes I get tired because the body has its limitations. But the beauty is I've also learned that with these practices, even a tired body does not necessarily mean that our mind is tired. And in that way, it also doesn't necessarily mean that you have this, you can say, reduction in the quality of your life or how you feel. Because usually that's what happens, right? When we're tired more than the body, our mind goes down. So small things start irritating us, or you feel, angry or upset, or you don't feel so good. So those are or can become two different things.
Correct. In fact, that's why I asked, because a large element, like from what I was understanding from what you were saying, is about the kind of energy that you have through the day in order to have that focus, in order to have that calm. You need to have that energy in so that you can do these things. But if you don't have that energy, it's going to be haywire. You're just going to, like you said, do the physical part, which is just the forcing.
Yeah, becomes very difficult.
Very difficult. Swamiji, how does this related to sleep? Right now, so many people have sleep issues. And the reason I'm asking this is calm and sleep now are fairly related, because otherwise people just sit in bed, lie down, look at the ceiling and look at their fan turning round and round. How does this bring into sleep?
Well, Ashdin, one is that, of course, we tend to identify deep rest with sleep. And that's why, like even in the previous episode, I touched upon the fact that true meditation actually gives your mind a much deeper rest than sleep itself. So 20 minutes of proper meditation actually gives our mind the same amount of rest as 4 to 6 hours of sleep does, it's a huge difference. Wow. So that way, a meditation practice can help you augment your sleep, where even if sometimes you can sleep only a little less, like some of us have jobs where sometimes you can't avoid it. You have to either get up very early or you reach home very late. So then even with maybe 5-6 hours of sleep, you can still feel very fresh. At the same time, as many of us would have experienced, it is also the quality of sleep. So you can be in bed for 8 hours or even longer and not feel fresh, or you can even sometimes sleep for, say, 6 hours or even 5 hours and still wake up quite fresh. So there, the main thing again is that ability to really let go, or the dispassion vairagya that we spoke about earlier as well. Because if you notice, a small child sleeps so deeply. Maybe some of us even remember that you would go to bed, or even if you're still traveling or anywhere, you just let go and you're gone. And you see some of the children, even you can carry them around when they're sleeping and they're just lying there and they're blissfully, happily sleeping, no problem. And they wake up so fresh because they're able to totally drop everything. And that is why, if you notice also, a small child doesn't carry all these impressions. No, but again, we spoke about in the previous episode that ability to not give so much importance to events. So yesterday, maybe someone took my toy. Today, again, I can happily play with that same boy because I'm not holding that, oh, yesterday he did that, or what is going to happen to me after 1 week. There's so much in the present moment. And for many of us, I think we live in a society where we are again and again prompted to strive for things, to work for things, to want to achieve or to want more. We get to see and experience so many things that you say, chahiye bhi karna, wo bhi chahiye. And if you're not able to switch that off for some time, it's okay to have goals and to have dreams or to set targets. But if you're not able to switch off, then that won't allow you to really rest. And I think that's what many of us see. You may be so tired and then you're lying in your bed, but these thoughts keep coming. And then even if you fall asleep, when you fall asleep, you wake up and you don't feel fresh because you have a lot of dreams. At night, still your mind is very active. So as a practical exercise, again, this is something people could do where you say, when you lie in bed for a moment, just feel, as we were discussing, as if you have died, that, okay, everything is finished. And it may take a little practice to really start feeling that ability to let go, that, okay, I'm nobody, I'm nothing. And you will see that it really helps. And of course, there are some practical things you can do where you say, okay, the last half an hour before you sleep, don't look at your phone, don't do any work activities, do something relaxing, creative, listen to some soothing music, not, well, let me not name any artists so that they don't feel bad, but there's people know what I'm talking about.
Correct.
So those things. And again, if you say you have some practice of, you do a little bit of yoga or some breathing technique, some meditation, like if I have a chance, I do that before dinner also, like just a small few minutes, 10-15 minutes, just like a mental shower after the whole day's work. And then you find that with regular practice, the more calm your mind anyway becomes, the quality of your sleep also improves.
I like the mental shower. I was just visualizing that in my mind when you're saying that, and just get rid of all the stuff that has happened through the day.
Yes.
Swamiji, strange question. What do you do in your free time?
Well, it's not a strange question. The challenge is now I have to think, how do we define free time? In one way, I feel very free because, as a monk, as a Swami, I don't have the certain social obligations or family obligations. Yes, I live out of a suitcase, but I don't have to go to the same office every day. So many would say I'm very free. I don't have to pay a mortgage or rent or keep a house tidy because I keep moving. But of course, I understand where your question comes from. And I do plan most of my day, and it's filled with all kinds of things, whether it is programs I'm conducting, I coordinate various projects. We have many service projects. I attend to emails, messages on social media, phone calls. I'm in touch with many of our volunteers also for the Art of Living, because I look after quite a few activities in Africa also now. So all of that, those work-related things. But whenever I can find some time, apart from maybe doing a little yoga or breathing techniques or meditation, one thing I'm very passionate about is mantras. So not just chanting some mantras, but learning more about the whole science behind it. Of course, I have to sometimes take some time to schedule stuff on social media, but also, I love spending time learning more about the places where I am. So of course, nature is wonderful, going for walks, but also sitting with people, learning more about their practices, their customs, exploring maybe the local food, because this world is so diverse and it's beautiful, and I think that's one of the beautiful things in India, that from ancient times, if you look even at the Vedic tradition, there has always been this spirit of inclusiveness and open-mindedness, where they say, let wisdom come to us from all directions in the world. Let us, even though we may think differently, let us move together with a common goal. And of course, India has taught me this so many times, where you come to a village for the first time, and still even today, the way you are welcomed, respected, accepted, is something really remarkable, and something I feel is something so valuable for the whole world to learn. Not that everywhere people are not nice, but it's just much more profound, or much more there in India, I would say, in this tradition. So I love exploring this diversity, appreciating it. And then, of course, it depends. Like if someone says, oh, that is this really inspiring movie that has come, we have time, okay, let's watch it. Or if someone says, okay, come on, let's go and play frisbee, okay, we do that. Or there is a beautiful temple, let's go visit. Or there is a wonderful whatever, what a wonderful place, we go and check it out, all kinds of things.
Fantastic. I was curious because I wanted to know, what is it that you would end up filling your time or choosing to fill your time with if you actually had empty time during the day? I love the way that you're saying that. All right, so there's so many things, and I know, and the way that you explain free time, what is free? Everything is free. Beautiful. Lovely. Swamiji, I loved having this conversation with you. How can people find out more about you? Where can people go to understand, connect with you, get your book? How should people take that forward?
Well, I would like to invite everyone definitely to check out my book. It's called Looking Inward, Meditating to Survive in a Changing World. It has touched upon many of these topics and gone a little deeper also. So if people would like to explore more about how to manage our mind, how it works, how to either start a meditation practice or deepen their meditation practice, many of the do's and don'ts, it has some practical exercises. So that book is available everywhere, online, Amazon, in bookstores. Just look for Looking Inward or Swami Purnachaitanya. Otherwise, I'm there on social media. So maybe on my website, it's easy to find all the links. You can go to swamipurnachaitanya.com. It has links to my Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Feel free to drop me a message. It sometimes may take me a few days to respond because I do get a lot of messages, but I always make it a point that I do. And of course, you can find me on Spotify also, or on other music platforms. I have recorded some mantras for those who like to listen to mantras or learn more about that. And basically, I would like to invite everyone to explore this more. That it's such a beautiful knowledge, and the way meditation can really add to your life. And doesn't mean you have to meditate for hours every day, but that 15-20 minutes, if you can take out, it's like taking a shower, like we said. So you have your normal shower, and then you have your mental and emotional shower. It can really improve the quality of your life. And of course, we have, if you want to go even further, or you want to do some retreats, on my website, you could find details about programs that I'm conducting for the Art of Living, whether it's a meditation course or a yoga retreat or anything else. You're most welcome to connect.
Super. Swamiji, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I absolutely love talking to you.
It was a true pleasure, Ashdin. And anyway, you have a wonderful podcast. So I wish you all the best with that. And I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. And we definitely must meet when you're in Bombay next.
Definitely.
For sure. Now, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am at Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. We have a brand new habit coaching online course, quizzes, videos, and a lot more on the website awesome180.com. So check it out now.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
If you're a cricket fan, check out Edges and Sledges, India's favorite cricket podcast.
The podcast focuses on Indian cricket, the IPL, and has a ton of banter both on and off the field.
We talk about the week's biggest cricket stories with current and ex-international cricketers, coaches, or sometimes just between us.
And it's hosted by me, DJ.
Me, Varun.
And me, Ashwin.
New episodes release every week.
You can catch us on the IVM Podcast's website, app,
or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.